Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today for this very special Together Women Rise event. I want to welcome all of the members, grantees, partners, and very special guests who are joining us from all across the U.S. and around the world. We are coming to you today, actually at an in-person event, can you believe it, here at the Adobe Lodge in Santa Clara, California. And I have to tell you, I arrived last night and I have been thrilled to finally meet so many of our wonderful members here in California. They've all played such an integral role in the history of our Rise community here. You know, over the years, we have started over 150 chapters here in California alone. Sure, go ahead and clap. And really, California has played a crucial role in the development of Together Women Rise. We have the largest number of chapters in any given state right here in California. So thank you, Californians. Today, we're coming together for multiple celebrations. 2023 is Together Women Rise's 20th anniversary. March is Women's History Month, and March 8th is International Women's Day. Now, I like to say that every day is International Women's Day at Together Women Rise, but the rest of the world celebrates it in March. And as many of you know, we typically do all come together in our community for International Women's Day. We're all dedicated to the mission of global gender equality. And this year, it seemed to make perfect sense to combine it with celebrating our 20th anniversary. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how we're planning to celebrate all year long later on in our event. So Together Women Rise began in 2003 in Greenville, South Carolina, thanks to the amazing collaboration of Marsha Wallace and Barb Collins. In the fall of 2002, I've got 20 on my brain, I think, Marsha read an article about a group of friends who met for potluck dinners and collected donations for needy families in their community. And they used the money that they would have otherwise spent going out to a restaurant to dine. On Marsha's birthday in January 2003, she invited some of her friends, including her neighbor, Barb Collins, our co-founder, to come to her home to celebrate, to share a meal, to share a sense of community together, and donate their dining out dollars to a charity. It was Women to Women International that continues today and does amazing work supporting marginalized women affected by war and conflict. This original birthday dinner led to this amazing collaboration of Marsha and Barb and the founding of Together Women Rise. Today, we have more than 350 local chapters across the United States, at least one chapter in almost every state. And I'm excited to say that we're knocking off another one of those states with a chapter that'll soon be starting in Mississippi, our first ever. And of course, thousands of members in these chapters, like all of you. Together, we come together and learn about gender equality issues around the world. We give grants to organizations that are supporting women and girls in low resource countries around the world. And we build community and connection. We good? You're good. All right. Many of you joining us today have been part of our impressive history, and we want to thank you. Some of you may be new to Together Women Rise, either here in this room or joining us online. And we really want to welcome you and invite you to our community. together we really are making a difference in the lives of women and girls and making it very easy. You know, we all sit back sometimes and see challenges in the world and say, well, what can I really do about it? It's such a big problem. But through Together Women Rise, you have a very easy way to make a difference. And, you know, our history has shown how much of an impact we've made. You're going to hear more about that today. In today's program, very exciting, we have an impressive panel of representatives of several of the organizations that we have funded over the years. Many of you may recognize their names. And then we're going to hear from our CEO, Beverley Francis-Gibson, who has just celebrated her 1-year anniversary with Together Women Rise. Woo! And Beverly's going to reflect a bit on how far we've come and also on where we're heading in the future, because here's to another 20 years and more for this incredible organization. So I'm going to introduce you now to our panelists and our moderator. First off, we have Katie Morrow. She's the Executive Director and co-founder of Limitless Horizons eShield. They're doing fantastic work in Guatemala. Now, Katie grew up right here in California, and I believe her mother is actually a chapter leader here in California, right? So a real close connection there for sure. Katie grew up here, but then she worked and traveled throughout the world. And after her first visit to Chahul, Guatemala in 2003, she was compelled by the beautiful culture, the generosity of the people, but that was also juxtaposed with the lack of educational opportunities, particularly for girls. She saw within these girls who were living in intense poverty, the desire and motivation to continue their education. We've seen that over and over again in countries around the world. Girls want to go to school. And she subsequently founded Limitless Horizons 18 years ago. So your history is almost as long as ours, not quite. Caroline Bernadi is head of philanthropy and results-based funding for Village Enterprise. Caroline's been with Village Enterprise for more than 14 years, and she's played a critical role in the design and launch of the Village Enterprise Development Impact Bond, the very first of its kind in poverty alleviation in Africa. She's passionate about working towards accelerating results-based funding for the poverty alleviation sector in order to drive impact and accountability and ultimately end extreme poverty in Africa. David Murphy is the CEO of One Heart Worldwide. Prior to joining One Heart, David was the executive director for the International Rescue Committee for its refugee resettlement office in San Diego, leading one of the largest resettlement offices in the US. For 17 years, David was the country director for the IRC in Ethiopia, Afghanistan, Kenya, and Somalia, setting up and running refugee camps and providing emergency and development aid within these countries. My gosh, we have a very impressive panel here representing multiple countries where we have been funding projects. Our moderator is equally as impressive as our panelist. Almaz Negash is a social entrepreneur who believes in the power of individuals to gain economic self-sufficiency through social enterprise development and employment. She was born in Eritrea. She immigrated to the US in 1987, and today she is one of the 100 outstanding Silicon Valley women of influence for her work in social innovation. In 2010, Almaz founded the African Diaspora Network to inform and engage Africans in the diaspora and facilitate direct collaboration with social entrepreneurs, innovators, and business leaders to invest in and improve the lives of everyone in Africa. Welcome to our panelists, and Almaz, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. it is International Women's Month, but as Wendy said, every day is International Women's Day, and every day is Women's Day, revolves around women. And I really mean that. And I love my men too, but I do think that the world revolves. Yeah, I really do. I do. But women are incredible. And what you all do, you can see it in the result of the work that they do is very, very important. And I think that as I start, I'm always reflecting what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a friend as a woman, what it means to be a mother to your children, what it means to be a sister to your brother and sister, and to your brothers and to your sisters. And so, and what it means to be a friend. And we are good at all of that. But what we miss is sometimes, I have to talk about myself, that we think what we do is enough. I'm doing something, so that's good enough. Well, I don't think it is good enough. I think we need more of this and more of us doing more things in order to make sure that no child, especially no girl, goes to bed without food, does not have an access to school, healthcare, education is very, very important, but also employment eventually. And I think this is very important because what you are going to hear about is what they're trying to do, and what you all contribute through RISE is what is going to make a difference. But I really think that we need more RISEs and we need more of us to make the dent, because there are so many women. The statistics is still crazy. And I am from Africa, so I do know that part of the world still has a long way to go, but it's wonderful that you each contribute to it. We still have to get more of us to do it so we don't become complacent and we don't continue to really push the envelope. So I do applaud the work of RISE, and I look forward to seeing a lot more diverse people continue to be a part of your chapter so that we can even make more change. So really thank you for having me, and delighted to be here. And David, I'm so glad to start this with you. We just had a conversation about whether I am Eritrean or Ethiopian. So, you know, that is already settled down. So it's really wonderful that so it's really wonderful that I know what you've done has made huge difference in the continent. And then now you're doing this in Nepal. You've also worked so much with many different people. And I know that RISE has helped you to raise almost, to give you about $110,000. I really would love to hear from you. How did this money and how did RISE's support made a difference in the community that you're serving? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am very honored to be here today with all of you, and happy birthday, happy 20th birthday to Together Women Rise. And so every 2 minutes, a woman dies in childbirth. And One Heart Worldwide, we find that this is unacceptable. And we work in maternal and newborn health. And so it started back with Dining for Women back in 2006. And the founder, Arlene Sayman, connected. And the issue back then was we began working in Tibet. And imagine you are a 17-year-old girl, recently married, pregnant, moving to a new village with your husband, his family. You have lost your family, because you've moved away, your social networks, your friends, you are now living in a new village and you are pregnant. You don't even know what that means or what's happening to your body. And then at 9 months pregnancy, you have to go out to the cow shed to give birth, literally. And on the ground in the cow shed with whoever's around, could be the mother, could be the grandmother, could be nobody. It certainly won't be a man, and ostracized, and giving birth on the ground. The umbilical cord will be cut with just a rusty knife. And, so there's no hygiene, no sanitation. You're this young woman going through this traumatic, emotional roller coaster. And so our first grant with you was, we can do something about that. And we developed a clean delivery kit, a safe delivery kit. And it's a very simple kit. It's a piece of plastic sheeting that goes on the ground. It's a razor blade, the sanitary razor blade to cut. It's a little bit of string to tie the umbilical cord. It's some iodine. It's so a very basic kit that costs less than $1 to put together. And with that, we were able to produce hundreds of these kits and send them out to the community, and thereby ensuring a safe sanitary delivery. So that's really kind of the genesis and beginning of One Heart Worldwide. Since then, we have moved to Nepal, and we received a second grant as we were able to develop what we call the Network of Safety. And the Network of Safety is a 6-year model that we have developed, where the first year we work with the government and identify the most in need districts and municipalities in Nepal. We then work with the government to identify what is needed. Is there a birthing center? Is there a health post? Is there any trained skilled birth attendants or community health volunteers? What is there any equipment? So doing a full assessment for the first year and really requesting the government to pay 50% of the cost of construction, building, and equipping of these centers so that they have skin in the game, so that the whole goal here is sustainability. And so with the second to third year, then we really start to implement with the government construction rehabilitation of a birthing center, equipping it, a maternity ward, and a lot of capacity building, skills training of these skilled birth attendants, these community health volunteers. And that's really what we use this the second grant money for. And to really solidify our model, the network of safety, and ultimately lead to sustainability of the program. And that's what it's all about, that after 6 years, we exit the district, the village, but we want the project to continue.
I love about what you said is, yeah, it is on. I think what I really like about what you said is you're actually having the community to have a buy-in. Otherwise, what are you creating? People who are always going to ask you, help me, help me, help me. And that's not going to make it sustainable. So I think that's wonderful. And I can also see why the RISE funding has enabled you to even scale some of the work that you're doing, which is exactly what it is supposed to do. So that's wonderful. So I'm going to go to Katie. And Katie, I think I love the fact that your mom is here and she's doing the work that she needs to do. And you have done amazing work. And I think your passion for education and really working with the grassroots community in Guatemala is amazing. And that's very much what is needed, is someone with passion, someone with a stake into the community to make a difference in the community. But you also have this incredible support that you're getting from RISE. And my understanding is that in 2017, you got $50,000 in grant from RISE. I wanted to really see you the same thing. What does this grant mean to you as you try to see change that needs to happen within the community? How much did it help you, and what is it that you need as you look at what you're looking into the community, what you see they can do, and what can we all do to support what you're doing? So it's really inspiring.
Thank you so much. And yes, it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. I've been a RISE member myself for at least 10 years, if not more. So an organization that I believe deeply in and came from the same roots that we did it as an organization. We started ourselves on a budget of $1,000 with 10 of my friends that gave $100 each. And now we've opened a beautiful new school and have gone on to do great things that I'll talk about now. But the RISE grant was very impactful for us. We work in Chahul, Guatemala, which is a war-torn area that experienced a terrible civil war that lasted for 36 years. 93% of the families we work with live in poverty. Half of the parents we work with are illiterate, and only 5% of students, and that's now after years, 5% of students have the opportunity to graduate from high school. But together, led by a very strong, amazing Guatemalan team of Indigenous women, something that the community has absolutely never seen until we started working in the community, are changing the odds for our family. We've now powered and supported 110 women. Well, we've actually supported about 250, but through the support of the grant, we've supported 110 women. A lot of them, when we started with them, their big dream was to go on and to go to middle school. And they got to middle school, they wanted more. We supported them on to high school, then on to university, and then on to become incredible professionals. And the first in the community, the first women to go to university, the first to become professionals. Many of those work for us now and are our employees. This grant came at a crucial time for us because we were getting ready to do a big jump from from offering scholarships and wraparound services to starting our own school, which we opened in the middle of last year. RISE's grant was one of the largest grants we had received in 2017 at the time. And so it really helped us open the doors to be able to receive other large grants and funding, and then go on to have larger donations like 100,000 or more. And we gained that confidence through gaining a grant from Together Women Rise. I'd also say that the program, our wraparound services, have always not only supported the girls through middle school and high school, but moms as well through our Women's Artisan program, where they've been able to receive a fair wage for their work, as well as receive workshops in how to support their kids in health and hygiene and financial management and so much more. Our students are 15 more times likely to graduate from high school through our program, and 84% of our graduates from our youth development program have waited till at least 23 years old or older to have children or start a family, compared to just 15% of their moms. So really big difference. And just, you know, for us, the grant has come at this, it came at this wonderful new phase of growth for us. And so many things have happened since we've received that grant. And so we are tremendously grateful.
Oh, I love this. You know, see, investing in a young woman, it's actually true, it's researched. You know, if a woman has an education up to 3rd grade, the chances of having delaying child rearing is pretty high. And then continue to do that to their own children, to take care of their own kids, to really look at the advancement of the children that they bear. So I think what I'm hearing from you is the ripple effect of your gift. And I think it's not to promote what RISE is doing, but to really tell you what the impact of your every dollar that you give to the organization that goes to organizations like Katie, making a difference in the community. That's exactly what we want our money to do. So this is fantastic. Thank you. Caroline, I'm very familiar with Village Enterprise simply because you happen to be in Silicon Valley. I also happen to know your board, one of your board members, but also the work that you've done in Africa is absolutely impressive. You continue to innovate and you continue to figure out ways to support more people. And RISE has been a support to you. And I believe you got about $95,000 at some point. And I wonder if you could talk about what that money meant to the impact that you're making and continue to make within the continent. So also it would be great if you could just speak a little bit about the reach of Village Enterprise in Africa.
Sure.
Fish request.
Thank you so much. It's an extreme pleasure to be here with you today. Our history with RISE dated back to 2006. And, you know, it was at a very early, like when we were a very small organization. Back then we had a small budget of $500,000. We had only 5 full-time staff and 40 volunteers across Kenya and Uganda. And now we have, so we are working in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Ethiopia, and through partnerships in other East African countries and we have a staff over 500 in country, still with a very small team here in the US. And the support of Together Women Rise has been extremely instrumental in, the early stage of growth of our organization. So what we do at Village Enterprise, we operate a graduation out of extreme poverty program. So we help women and men, but 82% of our program participants are women, but we're inclusive. But so we help mostly women out of extreme poverty by providing them with the resources to start a small business. So we provide them with business skills and financial literacy, a seed capital grant of $180 for a group of 3 women. To start a small business, and then we coach them for 9 months to make sure that they're investing this money into income generating activities so that they can, provide for their family. We've been, and I think partly because of organizations like Rise that, are really looking for, how the money that we're investing is really having an impact. And this is something as an organization that we've always, really invested in. We just released a recent study that showed that after 5 years, the income of our program participant is still increasing by 83% and their household saving by over 900%. And that's despite the pandemic. So this is the type of impact that, through the $90,000 we had, we received from Rise, we got. I have a few specific numbers of what we did with the support of Rise over the years, but like that helped us start 370 women-led businesses. We trained over 1,500 women in business skills and financial literacy. We formed 37 savings groups and impacted the life of over 8,000 women in extreme poverty through this grant. But our reach now as an organization has significantly increased. And so over the years, so we've been in operation for over 30 years, and we've started we've trained 240,000 men and women, but mostly women, out of, in our business skills and financial literacy training, and we impacted the life of over 1.5 million people across East Africa.
That's amazing.
And
I think you may have heard Caroline talk about saving circles. These are critical. So it's instead of lending circles, this is saving circles, because the whole idea of just giving people microloan, you've seen it in India, in other Southeast Asian countries, as well as in Africa, many people have really just lost it. And they actually had to lose their lives too, because lending has a shame attached to it in many different cultures. And that has been a big problem. So I really applaud the fact that you're focusing also on the saving circles. They're big everywhere. And I just love the saving circles group. And there's so many books written about it. There's a lot of discussion about it. I have my own mentor, Jeff Ash, who wrote In Their Own Hand. It's all about really turning the microloan and micro lending upside down, really focusing on communities to put money and have some kind of saving of their own that they can share with the community. That's incredible. So let me just go back to the second round of our question, which primarily has to do with the funding that you're getting from Rise and probably even others. How is this money making an impact in a life of child, a young woman, a family, a mother? Can you just give us some example how that is working? So I'm going to go to Dave for now. David, do you want to start? Give an example of
an example. So there was a young woman, Babita, who was 9 months pregnant, was taken to the village health post, which was in horrible shape, in a wheelbarrow. She couldn't walk, and it was approximately 2 miles away on a trail. And she was so large that she couldn't walk, and she was having trouble with her back and her legs. And so they literally brought her in a wheelbarrow. And because this health facility was not maintained, did not have any type of skilled birth attendants or community health volunteers. There was a grandmother there that helped her give birth, but unfortunately the child died. And so in this culture, it's extremely, all the blame goes on to the mother. And so she is then ostracized from the family, and she's not even 20 years old yet. But what she was able to do then was go to the capital and continue her education. She had a very small education, as many girls around the world have from the village, and was able to continue her education in the capital, and then was able to become a community health volunteer, a community health worker, and was then able several years later to go back to that community, back to the same community. The family took her back in, but she was by then a trained community health worker. And at the same time, we were able to come in and help renovate the birthing center piece, equip it, and continue to provide her training. And so she was able to go full circle from knowing the extreme trauma culturally and personally and family, health-wise, and being able to, instead of going down, she was able to make something of it. And now she is in that same village, being able to help other pregnant women in a much more safe and sanitary way to give birth. And so this is just one woman. So when you ask me that question, I always think about this one particular story and how impactful the funding is from Together Women Rise, that you really do make an impact.
Nepal, thank you so much. I think that's also a story of resilience, persistence, resilience, and really just fighting it out. And I think that's what we're known for, women. I love that. But, so I know this, I just love this ending stories like, yes, you can fight me, but then I can also resist and do something about it. So that's a wonderful, wonderful story. And I think it's also wonderful for you to hear how your money gets to be used in that one person's life. If we can make just one person's life better, that's all for the good. So thank you. Caroline, do you want to
Sure.
continue?
Yes, of course. I was able to dig a story from 2015. So in 2012, 2015, we got a sustained grant from Together Women Rise. And I got the story from Sabita. She lives in a small village in Western Uganda, next to the Badongo forest, which is a protected area because it's an habitat of chimpanzee who are protected species. And and in that village, because of her being in extreme poverty and most of her family and relatives as well being in extreme poverty, they rely on the forest for subsistence. So they go and they cut the wood of the forest. Their husband go and hunt for chimpanzee, elephant, antelope in the region. And so what we do with at Village Enterprise around those protected areas is providing alternative livelihood so that they can, have a better way, so that they can decrease basically, their subsistence, their reliance on the forest. And so after what Sabita was saying is that, after participating in the Village Enterprise program, she was able to start a small goat business. She was able to raise them, sell them, have a better living and continue to expand her business so that then she was able to provide for her family. She was able to offer better education for her children, a better house as well. And also really one of the things that we were trying to do when we were training those women is really kind of sensibilizing them and training them on the importance of, the sustainability of the resources around you, right? And how, you need to take care as well of your environment. And so, another additional impact that we had on those communities is that we reduced illegal activity in the forest. They were no longer poaching there. And so that was an additional impact. So, yeah. And that
Wonderful. And I don't know, Uganda, David knows this better than I do, but I think one good thing about Uganda is it's such a green, beautiful country. But I'm also going to shout out to Uganda in the line that you've mentioned. It was one of the only countries in Africa that received more than 1 million refugees from Southern Sudan and Darfur. And what that means is the work that Caroline and others are doing, it is double the need because you've got refugee camps also in the forestry industry. And so the need is huge. But what the reason I bring this up is it's not just the country, the Ugandans. You're now talking about also 1 million more refugees that are coming. So this is the whole challenge of war that we should talk about it some other time. But what I think is beautiful is the fact that she was able to raise goats to make sure that her family was having, a livelihood that they can take care of each other and themselves. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. The same thing for you, Katie.
Great. Well, there's so many stories, but today I want to tell you about Marina, who was one of our earliest students to graduate with us from high school. Rise's support helped her to gain her first professional experience with us, as well as supported her mom, one of our most talented weavers in our women's artisan program. Marina is one of 8 children, and her family is always trying to patch things together to find work to be able to support the family and scrape by. Her father and her whole family suffered tremendously during the Guatemala Civil War, and to this day have a lot of PTSD. The war ended when Marina was a child, so she doesn't remember it much. But they suffered. They needed to move from small village to small village, hide out in the mountains because they were at risk of being killed by the army. And at one point, the family was actually in hiding and watched as a massacre happened and everybody be killed and the houses be burned to the ground in a community outside of Chahual. She had other family members that died during the war and others that fled to Mexico. So from her father's perspective, he never got the chance to go to elementary school, and she had this fantastic opportunity to finish 6th grade. She was only a girl and most likely going to get married. And so from his perspective, that was enough. There wasn't going to be any more money for her to continue her studies. Now, Marina's mom, Concha, she was a force to be reckoned with, let me tell you. And she had other ideas for her daughter. And so she heard about our program and our scholarship, and together they applied to the program, and we supported Marina through middle school, high school, onto university. She became our librarian in the library, and now she heads up our school counseling in our mentorship program of our new school. She's a teacher. She brings 2 hours of classes every week in topics like domestic violence, family planning, financial planning, resiliency, leadership, all the things that our young women need around the world. And additionally, our mentorship program, and through her, she does one-on-one individual sessions with students, as well as does frequent home visits with families to support them at home, and school for parents. And both parents, mom and dad, come in and receive education from her through our program. So the ripple effects are endless in her, and she's able to provide that role model. Our students can see themselves in her and the service that she's providing to them. And then on top of all of that, she continues to change her family at home, as so many of our employees do. It's not only the work that they're doing with us, but it's also the work that they're doing in each one of her homes, in their homes. She supports her younger brothers and sisters to go to school, while also supporting the 49 students in our 7th and 8th grade class.
Why, that's incredible. So in Katie's when Katie was talking, I started to be reminded of why people migrate. Why do we leave what we know? And I'm one of them. I left home in 1984 because there was war between Eritrea and Ethiopia. So my parents didn't want me to grow up in war, so you leave. So I think what you're talking about is the challenge that they face. And at times we resist these migrants. There's this bad rap that goes into migrants, but the world revolves around migrants. We're talking about women. I'm going to talk about migrants. They make the difference, whether it's in the United States, in Europe, or any other place. And I think having the open heart, the open mind, the open hand is very, very important, that you should look at the families that they suffer. Why not? If there is a domestic violence and I don't have any food for my children, believe me, I will take them out. That is what you would do too. But for some reason, we made this as a bad thing. It's actually a wonderful thing. We need to move. Why not? But I think what you also said was education. And the last one I want to mention is mentoring. Money is good, but it's not enough. And I think mentoring is critical to the development of all of us, regardless of what stage we are, but especially at the stage that they're in. So thank you so much for sharing. And in fact, the follow-up question that I am going to ask you, Caroline, to answer is, so it's the ripple effect of this funding that you've received. How did the funding from RISE contributed to your success, the impact that you made? And that's actually for all of you. So, but I'm going to start with you, Caroline. Maybe you can share that. And I think it's a very important thing for people to know. Once you get whatever the amount of money is and you show impact, how does it show up for you in terms of other ripple effects that you've seen happen in your organization?
Sure. Yeah, I touched it upon a little bit in the first question, but so when we received the grant the first grant from RISE, we were a very small organization, and RISE really enabled us, one, to, I think, increase our visibility among an amazing network of change makers. It also enabled us to, increase our reach. And the way we've been growing as an organization is, in two main ways. So we've continued to, increase our reach in Kenya, Uganda, and now Rwanda and Ethiopia. And our model is adaptable in many different contexts. So you touch upon, the refugee context. So we're working now in Ethiopia and in northern Uganda in the refugee settlement, really trying to equip people and refugees, to be less reliant on aid, but, have a income generating a small business and income generating activities so that they can live themselves out of that reliance and really make a better living for themselves and their families. And so when we got the very first one from RISE, we were training 5,000 women per year to our program. This year alone, we're gonna train 48,000 women and a little bit of men to our program and start 16,000 small businesses. And our strategy as well to continue to grow is, we can't end extreme poverty alone, right? Like the magnitude of the problem is so huge. And so what we really believe in is that in order for the problem to be solved, we need to engage government into really, investing in the right way so that they can end extreme poverty. So right now we're in that path where we're working with the government of Kenya, with the government of Rwanda to really, strengthen their social protection programming and training them on our model to make sure that, they can, not only provide unconditional cash transfers, right, to those people in extreme poverty, but helping them invest that cash into income generating activities so that they can really be on a path out of extreme poverty.
Thank you so much, Katie. I'm reminded that Africa by 2050 is going to be about 2 billion people. So you can see where this, and the youngest continent in the world. The geopolitical stand around the world in terms of engagement with Africa is critical today and for the years to come, because otherwise, if you, this number that she's giving you, if you look at it from the grand scheme, it's absolutely nothing, because extreme poverty in the continent is as high. And I think the other thing you mentioned is the involvement of the government. If you don't have an enabling ecosystem to do the work that you need to do to help communities, then how do you do it? So the governments have a responsibility, and I really think that it's wonderful you start to work with them, because you need them to help to create a system. The systems have to change, and the change systems, you need the governments to be a partner with you rather than, I don't know, but that's a different talk. Yeah, I don't want to put Rise in trouble because I'm a troublemaker, but I don't want you to be, but it is very, very important that we really just keep them accountable. And but by working with people like you, I think is where change is going to happen. So thank you for sharing that. But the number is impressive, but it's not enough. Sorry, it's not enough, but thank you for what you do. I know, I want more. We want more. Katie, I think, Katie, you've got an incredible success story. You have received all kinds of accolades and honors, and with the work that you do, very innovative work that you're doing, it would be wonderful if you can talk a little bit more than just these prizes that you've received. But also, how did the funding continue to play a role in the work that you do? Because I think if you're getting these amazing acknowledgements, whether it's from UNESCO and others, what else do you need, and how do you go about doing it when you're getting the support from Rise? You've got the audience, so you should just talk to them.
Thank you. It's been really exciting years, these last number of years, and a lot of it happened during the pandemic, which is incredible too. But we have built a beautiful new school. Right now, it's a middle school, and we are fundraising right now to build our new high school that we want to start our building next year. We currently have 7th and 8th grade. It's a girl-focused school. It's completely different than the community has ever seen. We've been working with local schools for years and really made a tremendous effort to support as much as we could, but for local schools. But ultimately, classes were overcrowded. They were only receiving 3 hours a day of school when there was actually classes. Additionally, safety for girls was a continuous problem. And abuse stories were far too common. 8 out of 10 teachers in local schools are men. There's just a host of problems over the years in working with local schools. So our amazing Indigenous, almost all women team was very clear that we could start an amazing new school ourselves. So that's what we set out to do. Our new school is a full day program. From 8 to 4, we provide 2 solid meals during the day. Guatemala has one of the highest children malnutrition rates in the world, so really important for their learning. A lot of our students came in with very low confidence. They would cover their mouths, our girls, when they were talking and not make eye contact. Didn't have very many Spanish skills. They're Indigenous Ixil, and so they only learn Spanish in school. And within the year, our girls are falling off of their seats because they want to participate. Our education's very interactive, and there they are, right there. They want to jump in, they want to sing, they want to dance. There's so much joy there. And in our education, we're teaching leadership, resilience, and innovation, in addition to strong academics and STEM. And so we've seen so much success in these first couple of years. Our girls have a strong vision with what they want, where they want to go. We're actively seeing the resilience. And I just want to say, we built this beautiful school. Our teachers were in training with us for 1.5 years. We have very qualified teachers. We're providing them meals, and our girls know it. We built this school for them. We believe we've invested in their education. We think they're worth it, and they're believing that for themselves now. And they're seeing their futures lay out in front of them because now they believe that they're worth it. And just before I end, I do want to touch on the UNESCO Literacy Award. During the pandemic, our library, when everything was shutting down, our team got innovative. And how can we move our program virtually? So we moved our program to the radio and to television in the community. The best of our program was on the radio and did frequent story hours that were on multiple times a day with inspirational messages and health messages. All of it was in both languages, both in Spanish and the local indigenous language of Ixil. And so it was through that we're still running the program today, and we're honored in 2021 for the UNESCO Literacy Award.
Congratulations, that's incredible. That's innovation. When we are stuck and we don't have anywhere to go into COVID, use radio and television, imagine. And that is very, very important. So thank you so much. I know we don't have much time, but it's very important. I go to Dave. So 370,000 pregnancies in Nepal that you've been helping. Please talk about how you were able to do it and what you need and how this money has been supporting you.
And one quick tangent, there's more than 100 million people displaced in the world today. And so talking about refugees and displacement, and not just war, but now climate change and urbanization and youth bulge. And so and that number continues to grow, and the UN is anticipating that number will continue to grow. With this money, we were able to take our network of safety and really solidify what that model is, and not set up a parallel structure to the government, but work with the government. So we build up that system. And with that money, we were really able to solidify the training around the skilled birth attendants. So we are setting up a sustainable system to meet the needs of pregnant women. And that number, unfortunately, is old, because the epidemiologist that works for us, we just have the numbers we have from last year, and we have now been able to reach 500,000 pregnancies. So that's 500,000 mothers and 500,000 babies cumulative since we started working in Nepal only. Now, because of our model, we are scaling. So every year we take on 4 new districts, and so we continue to scale up. And in the next 3 years, we are going to reach 1 million more. And so it's this cumulative effect that the impact of your funding has had, where we are able to really solidify our model on the training of skilled birth attendants, and that number will continue. So it's quite impressive.
Well, I'm going to ask you to join me in thanking these 3 people and the impact that they're making. I do see that our time is up because I think the conversation has been incredible, very inspiring, very engaging. And I do hope that you continue to do, but you create the ripple effects. As you said, if we have 1 billion refugees, what services do they need? And that's another country or continent in itself. And that's a huge number. And so each have some responsibility. And I thank RISE for the work you do. And I thank each one of you for the impact you make. And I thank you for inviting me. This is fun. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, Almaz. You did an incredible job leading a very interesting and inspiring presentation. And I'm sure you all can, I think you all should feel very, very proud of the work that you helped happen in these 3 organizations, these 3 different countries, and 3 key areas for women and girls around the world: education, healthcare, and economic sustainability. So thank you once again to our panelists and for doing such incredible work. I would now like to ask Debbie Hirsch, who is going to introduce our keynote speaker today. Debbie, for those of you here in California, you probably know her. She's the co-regional leader of our West region. Debbie?
Good afternoon, everyone. Beverley Francis-Gibson is the current CEO of Together Women Rise. She previously served as the president and CEO of the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America, based in Hanover, Maryland. Beverley has more than 25 years of experience serving nonprofits and community foundations. She has an extensive background in philanthropy, fundraising, grant writing, and organizational management. She served on the Women's Services Advisory Council at Duke University, which was committed to gender equality and social change. She has participated in the YWCA's Race Shall Not Divide Us initiative and in the Women's Giving Circle in Maryland. A native of St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Beverley holds a BA in Public Relations and Communications and an MA in Industrial and Community Counseling from Eastern Kentucky University in Richmond, Kentucky. Please welcome our CEO, Beverley Francis-Gibson.
Thank you, Debbie. So today I decided to focus on the power of women. We are our sisters' keepers. Since its inception 20 years ago, Together Women Rise has had one mission: to bring together a community of women to support women and girls in having access. What does that really mean? It means that early on, we understood that equality is a privilege. It's an exception in many parts of the world. We understood that our collective philanthropy was the only way to amplify giving in order to provide opportunities that would empower women to lead and to create their own destinies. We understood that we needed to be champions for other women and girls who are our sisters globally. I had the amazing opportunity to travel last month to India on a Rise trip. And at our farewell dinner, one of our fellow travelers shared that regardless of our language barriers and economic situations, every mother wants the same thing for their daughters. We want them to have the ability to choose their fate, to decide and follow their dreams, to know their value and their worth in a world that sometimes renders them and us invisible. Collectively, for the last 20 years, Together Women Rise has been a trailblazer by bringing together women each month who pool their resources to support women and girls in other countries, and these are girls they may never meet. Over $11 million has provided financial support to NGOs and organizations, as you've heard, in over 60 countries. Their mission, which we align with, has been to fight for the dignity of women and girls by ending early child marriages, ending genital mutilation, ending gender-based violence, supporting maternal and child health, supporting women-led businesses, and supporting education. We support them because we also want to empower them to work alongside us, because sometimes they may not have the voice in their own communities. We have so much to celebrate, but let us not grow weary in our efforts to do good. We still have much to do. So as we continue paving the path to gender equality for the next 20 years, here are 4 things that I know for sure. The future of Together Women Rise is bright. Let us continue to be a beacon for grassroots organizations who are sometimes not supported by other organizations and feel that we not only care, but we're invested in their success. This means that our featured grants program will continue to support projects and organizations primarily led by women in low-income countries, while our transformation partnerships will support the root causes on the issues that perpetuate paternalism and inequity. We will support more opportunities for learning and meaningful connections among our grantees and between our members and our grantees by highlighting the impact, as you've seen today, that they have in their own towns, villages, and communities. Our book club is another way that we continue to build community as we learn and engage in dialogue with the authors and with each other. Our travel program will continue to be another opportunity for members to travel responsibly, to visit our grantees, and to see the impact of their contributions and our gifts to expand our knowledge and our understanding of the economic, legal, and social structures that oppress women in other countries. What I know for sure is that Together Women Rise is our people. It is all of you. It is our tireless volunteers. It is our members who are the core and the nucleus of this organization, who are committed to sharing and celebrating like we're doing today and we'll be doing for the rest of this year because of the efforts that you have all made every single day. And sometimes you don't even understand the magnitude of that. We invite more women from diverse backgrounds to join chapters, to be a part of creating their own chapters and understanding that not only time, treasure, and talent is what we're seeking for this organization. We hope to embrace a new way of being when the time comes because we are committed to staying true to our mission. Chapters based on various affinity groups, chapters that are intergenerational, we welcome all of that. Because in order for this organization to be here 20 years from now, we have to be willing to open our arms and continue to welcome all ages, all women, all groups from everywhere. We want to continue to learn together and to learn about the issues that we are impacting together. Together Women Rises Board of Directors and the staff who I am privileged to work with every day. They're the ones who are also working behind the scenes tirelessly to support our members and to provide amazing programs and materials to ensure that we're continuing to learn and foster giving in a new way. So what I know for sure is that Together Women Rise is fundable. I am a fundraiser. And I would like to see us not only exceed our fundraising goals annually, but embrace new funding and strategic partnerships, which will allow us to make more grants, to build an endowment for this organization's future and sustainability, and to also diversify our outreach efforts. I believe that women cannot support us if they don't know we exist. And so our communications and our marketing using social media, other communication channels will help move us in this direction. We do a great job of communicating internally. We do a great job of communicating to ourselves. But we have so many, what I consider to be missed opportunities to spread this to the world beyond these doors. And so what I know for sure is that Together Women Rise is resilient. I heard you say it over and over as part of the panel today. We are resilient. You don't get to celebrate 20 years without ups and downs and changes and growth and struggles. But inherently, we remain committed unapologetically to supporting global gender equality. While we were in India, and I have two of my fellow travelers here with me, Ellen and Melinda Silverstein, who is a board member, we did safari rides in India. And the idea was that we would go out at 5 a.m. in the morning and we would look for tigers, right? We didn't see any tigers, disappointingly. However, what we did see was the sloth bear, also known as the Indian bear. And I took lots of pictures of him or her, because what I noticed about the bear was there was a bird that was constantly trying to, I guess, disrupt or interrupt his focus on getting to the termites that were in the ground. And what I noticed about him was he was never distracted. He remained focused on his goal or her goal. And so what I saw was an analogy to Together Women Rise. If we remain focused on the mission of this organization that our co-founders started 20 years ago, I can only imagine where we would be and the types of stories we would tell to our children, our grandchildren, and to their children. And to men, I think there are a few of you in the room, we invite you to join us too. We had one man on our trip to India, and at the end of the trip, I said to him, "So you're gonna start a chapter?" He, of course, declined. But I believe that change doesn't happen without their support. And so we also want to embrace men being a part of our movement. 20 years from now, I hope that we will all look back and we will be proud to have been affiliated with this organization, because we would have made a greater impact on the lives of women and girls and global gender equality. I invite you to join us on this journey. We are building a community where women of all races can communicate and continue to support and take care of each other, because we are our sisters' keepers. I want to give us and women space to feel their own strength and to tell their own stories, because that is what power looks like. In closing, as we celebrate International Day of Women, let's ensure that we also support innovation and education, because we know that the digital divide is also what keeps people suppressed. Let us continue to remember our sisters all around the world when we go out to dinner or we take for granted the things that we enjoy. In India, we visited a classroom of women who all had cell phones, but didn't know how to use them. And this was a class that was teaching financial literacy. And as I sat in the back of the room, I thought again about how we use our cell phones all day long to transfer money between bank accounts, to buy things on Amazon or not, and how they were so eager to learn that simple thing that we take for granted. It was amazing because one of the questions that we asked was, well, to the teacher was, how do you know? Because no one was taking notes. I was like, so how do you know that they're getting it? And she said, you see the light go off. That aha moment goes off. I want us to continue to be that aha moment for women all around the world. Let us continue to empower our women, our girls, our sisters to reach their fullest potential. And I'm inviting you, if you're not already a part of a chapter, to join us. This is one of the most powerful movements ever. And I don't know if you feel it, but I do. I know it and I feel it every day. And I've had so many people say to me, Beverly, it's only been 1 year. What keeps you coming back? And I said, it's women. We are powerful beyond belief. I've worked with women all over the world who sometimes don't even understand or know their power. And collectively, imagine what we can do 20 years from now if we continue on this upward path for Together Women Rise. I invite you to join the movement. Thank you.
Wow. Are you all inspired? Good, good. Because as you heard today, there's more work to be done and we need every one of you. Thank you, Beverly. You have definitely made us all very excited about the future of Rise. So let's talk a little bit more about how we're going to celebrate this year. Starting today, we have a limited time pop-up shop. You may remember we did this a couple of years ago when we first changed our name. Well, we're doing it again. And we've got some amazing Together Women Rise branded products. We're partnering with Fairwear again. So all of these products are ethically sourced and sustainable. And, you know, these are not only wonderful products you can have to enjoy yourself, but it's another way of raising awareness and spreading the word. When you wear that t-shirt or those earrings or this beautiful scarf that we're now going to offer, and someone says, "What's that all about?" I hope you'll take the opportunity to tell them about the important work that we're doing here together and invite them to join in. The shop's only going to be open for a little while, though. We're making it limited time. Get your orders now. Place your orders by March the 20th. So we're going to be putting the link in the chat for those of you who are online, and we'll have a slide up here for those here in person so that you can check that out. You probably got an email today, and of course, visit our website at togetherwomenrise.org for more info. The next thing is, you've heard several speakers talk about these Together Women Rise trips. And if you haven't been on one, let me tell you, they truly are life-changing. Our next trip is to Tanzania in August 10th to the 18th, and registration opens on Monday. And once again, don't delay. This is a very popular destination. You'll be visiting two of our special grantees, Sega Girls School and African People and Wildlife. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You'll also get to do a little bit of safari. So we will be opening registration to members only until April 1st. And then after that, it'll be available to others. So there's a benefit to being one of our chapter members. Watch for your email on Monday about details on this trip, or visit our website. And finally, this has been an incredible 20th anniversary celebration here in Santa Clara. For those of you who aren't able to participate here in Santa Clara, we are going to be having similar events all across the country. Next up is a whole weekend of celebration in Seneca Falls, New York, which, as some of you may know, is truly the birthplace for women's rights and gender equality here in the US. And there's just so much about that location that we're going to be able to enjoy, and look forward to having you there. And then after that, it's a whole succession of Philadelphia and Chicago and Phoenix and Denver and DC. So please check out our website and the dates and details and join us there. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Whether you were here in person in Santa Clara or whether you were online, I really want to give a special shout out to the wonderful committee of volunteers who made today's event happen. We could not possibly have done this without you, and you made today a success. I challenge our volunteers who are working on our other events. I know that you're going to have incredible success as well, and I thank you for the work you have going on. Lastly, as we've mentioned several times, if you're new to Together Women Rise, you're learning about us for the first time, we really want you to join us. There's so many different ways to engage, not only in chapters, but in other ways through our book clubs, our advocacy, our travel, and just jumping on a webinar like we're having today. So please check us out. And all of you who are already involved, bring along a friend. They're going to love it too. So I wish everyone a very happy International Women's Day. I thank you for joining us. Good afternoon.